Hey everyone, we are going to talk about surviving the holidays when a narcissist is involved. So, I have dogs in the background. We are going to just be really casual because it's the holidays. Um, when we are dealing with this type of person, I mean, it is like dealing with the real life Grinch, in the human form. And I'm always trying to use the word of the year. The Merriam-Webster dictionary word of the year is gaslight. Don't let anyone gaslight you. If you are feeling the post-separation abuse intensify right now, I will be the first to validate you. It is real, it is common, it is incredibly predictable. During the holidays, we see these toxic individuals spiral into a dark, rage-filled abyss, and they really escalate in their attempts at creating conflict and chaos. And so many people, especially those who are new to this, want to know why. What is it about the holiday season that makes the narcissist unravel? The holidays are really considered to be, or at least the media wants us to believe, that this is a season filled with love and joy and happiness and sleigh bells and, the festive celebrations, the warm cider, people caroling, baking, presents, all of those things. But for the narcissist, the holidays can be a really painful reminder that they are different and they're unable to embrace the magic of the season because they're truly unable to feel joy like others can. They're unable to give or receive love. They are unable to experience connection with another person, and they thrive in darkness. They're not able to experience light. And then on top of that, the holiday season, a hallmark of the season is that people are running around selfless deeds, doing kind things, and they're not capable of doing that unless it benefits them in some way. So many people have a very different perspective of who the narcissist is because, there are different types, but the ones we typically, imagine are the grandiose, the life of the party, and then we have the very covert ones. I know there's a communal narcissist who is running around doing good deeds and fooling people that way. But the reality, in general terms, is that the narcissist is actually a very fragile species with the emotional intelligence of probably about a 5-year-old child. And the bow on top is that they know they are different. And so, their little mugs of warm, hot cocoa are brimming over with envy and hatred. And the holiday season threatens them on every level and brings up this, festering, deep-seated pain. And their only escape to feel a sense of relief from that is to lash out in contempt and rage. So inflicting pain and chaos releases the pressure that is building inside of them. And for people who are still in a relationship with a narcissist, their behavior may include increased manipulation, gaslighting, triangulation, hovering, love bombing, or relentless attempts at creating pain and conflict, depending on where you are in the cycle of narcissistic abuse. So, understanding these patterns is really critical to moving from emotions to a strategy mindset. Whether you're in a relationship with a narcissist or if those days are thankfully in your rearview mirror, the narcissist crazy making behavior during the holidays, it can really take a toll on all of us, regardless of where we are on that timeline. So here's what I know to be true. For healthy parents, the pressure of the holiday season can be a great burden to bear, even under the most ideal circumstances, because you want to gift your children with magical holiday memories, but that can be challenging when we aren't feeling sparkly or magical. And, I can reflect back on the first two Christmases post separation and feeling outdone in the gift department when I couldn't even afford ornaments for our Christmas tree. It was really painful. And I remember that sense of defeat like it was yesterday. So I'm going to share a few things that I learned that hopefully you can incorporate in, or, just pause. It's like with anything. I share my own journey, but my journey is different from yours. And so there will be things that you can take from it and incorporate in, and then things that just don't fit and aren't relevant. So you can leave them behind. So, what I will say, is that in reflecting back on those Christmases where I, did share the girls with their biological father during the holidays, whether it was Christmas or whatever holiday, if you were to ask them today, they could not tell you which years we celebrated Christmas on the 25th or the 16th or the 28th or even January 2nd, but at that time, it felt so earth-shattering to me to be without them on Christmas. Because those of us who have walked this path, we know that it's not about the unhealthy parent's desire to make memories or to, really put together a wonderful holiday experience for the kids. It's about the pictures that they can post on social media. It's about hurting you because they know how important it is to you, and that, the kids become the pawns and the weapons in these things. So for me, in looking back, the one thing I wish someone would have shared with me is how insignificant the actual date is. And if you get caught up on that, and I know it's easy to do, it can really take a toll on you. So, wherever you can remind yourself that the actual date isn't what's important. And my daughters can, remember the tiny little ornaments that we made out of clay for our little pink Christmas tree. And they had no idea at the time, that we made those ornaments because he had stolen all of my Christmas decor and I could not afford to replace any of it. And that for me was so painful and it felt so unfair. But I remember one day we had just moved into this tiny little hole in the wall apartment, but it was all I could afford at that time. And finding a few small bricks of clay in their craft stuff when I was setting up their room and getting things organized, and just having this spur of the moment idea of how we could decorate our little 2-foot tall pink Christmas tree. And today those little thumbprint ornaments are truly one of my most prized possessions. And I actually keep one here on our desk, and I rounded out little pieces of clay and put our fingerprints in it. And at the time, it just felt so unfair and so painful. But now looking back, that is such an amazing memory. So whatever it is for you, and, creating new memories that are yours outside, new memories, new traditions. There was one that, that very first Christmas Eve, my family is 2,000 miles away. I did feel very alone, and I had an idea. Let's go let's create a new tradition where every Christmas Eve we just go spend time in a new town and discovering new things, or getting to know the town, or window shopping or whatnot. And um, I remember that, I started that tradition because I wanted to instill in them the importance of experiences and being present over material items. But, the reality that I sheltered them from in that time, we had gone to this cute little restaurant. It's called Lynn's in Cambria. And I couldn't afford to buy my lunch. I could afford to buy two kids' lunches. And so, but they didn't need to know that. We need to shelter our kids from the reality of so much of this. And there are things that they shouldn't be sheltered from because it's real life. Hey, we can't afford that this year, maybe next year, whatever it is. I do think it's important to be transparent with our kids, but as much as we can give them the magic of the season or of experiences, I do think it's really important. So, I wish I had answers that were applicable to everyone. And again, I'm going to share some things that really stand out to me as helpful as I navigated this. And some of them came later in my journey, but if I had to put together a package of, this is a good roadmap for the holidays or for life in general when you're in this type of situation, these are some things that I do believe are incredibly helpful. Number one, radical acceptance. Practicing radical acceptance, is it fair? No, but it's our reality. I don't have the energy to fight this battle and to fight reality. So what are the facts? The facts are this sucks, and there's no sugarcoating it. And it does feel pointless to shake our fist at the sky yelling about how unfair life is. There actually may be some therapeutic value in doing that. And I've probably done it a few times over the years, but would I have chosen a different path? Absolutely. Whether I like it or not, this is my path and what is in my control. And I'm going to choose to tackle it in a forward-facing motion versus being paralyzed with fear or going backwards. And if I do go backwards, it's okay. That's life. And it happens. And I'm going to do my best to make it like a cha-cha style dance move where I backwards, forwards, and the goal is to keep going forward. And then managing expectations. Managing your expectations around toxic people in your life. Because if we are expecting a 40-something-year-old or 50-something-year-old dysfunctional, toxic adult to suddenly change their ways and start singing Deck the Halls, Kumbaya style on Sundays with us, then we're setting ourselves up for disappointment and failure. The narcissist is not a healthy adult, so we shouldn't put them in that category. They're not capable of putting the kids first, and they oscillate from, being in competition with the children to using them as pawns. And so, in my humble opinion, outside of a lobotomy or a miracle at the hands of sweet baby Jesus himself, nothing is going to change this person. And the thing that we may need to change is our ability to manage our expectations of the person or the situation in general. So, it could be back to, top point number one, a tall, stiff drink of radical acceptance sprinkled with a heavy dose of expectation management that may be on the current menu. Number three is compartmentalizing. Learning to compartmentalize was critical to my emotional and mental well-being and physical health as well, because it's all tied in together. And I'm still a work in progress on this, on so many of these things that we're talking about. I have yet to meet someone who has all of these things mastered, but it's awareness that, these are good things to try to improve on and to master over time. And the first step is mindfulness, being aware of our thoughts, greeting them, and escorting them out if they do not serve us. There is a direct correlation between our feelings and how they manifest into our words and into our actions. And our feelings really do spill into everything we are doing. So, awareness of these things is, a very critical first step. And when I say compartmentalize, that does not mean denial. I still work on the items that I compartmentalize, whether it's in therapy or whatever. I'm still in control of taking that box down off the shelf in the safe confines of my therapist's office. But there's a saying, not today, Satan, whatever it is for you, that can be applicable here as well. Not today, narcissist. I've got joy to find, connections to make, light to bask in, mom duties, presents to wrap, whatever it is, really being aware of the thoughts that we're allowing to take up space in our heads. And then the next one is boundaries. No is a complete sentence. And when you're dealing with a narcissist or family members who are toxic or whatever, you may need to use that like it's going out of style. And when it comes to the narcissistic ex and there are children involved, that's where Yellow Rock comes into play. You can go to the One Mom's Battle website and scroll down to the very bottom of the homepage, sign up. It's like a yellow box and it says inspiration to your inbox. Sign up there. You'll get our complete free guide to Yellow Rock communication, which has a lot of canned responses that you can use in your communication when you're feeling triggered or just unable, unsure of how to respond to something. But boundaries at every opportunity. And most people who have been targeted by a narcissist struggle with boundaries. So my guess is you're a work in progress on that, and that's okay. And sometimes the boundaries we have with ourselves are the most important ones. And that could be, you know what? I know there's probably 5 messages waiting for me on whatever communication platform or program I use to communicate with this person, but I'm not going to answer them today. I'm not even going to open it unless your court order dictates that you do. And that's obviously a different story. But, boundaries with yourself. Tuesday is my day. I am not going to think about any of this. I'm not going to give that person space in my head. And then 2 more, knowing your truth. If it is probably one of the most important things in this journey, knowing your truth at a core level, left and right, backwards and forwards, top and bottom, because you will be less likely to be rocked or affected by the narcissist when you've absorbed your truth, at a cellular level. The narcissist attacks don't sting if they don't stick. And we have to really consider the source and stand on a firm foundation of our truth. And so, whether that is, yes, the sky is actually really blue and you are amazing. You aren't those things that they have said about you or try to imply about you. And then finally, being present in the moment, not ruminating on the past or time hopping into the future. Don't give this person your power. And if you do and you catch yourself in that, that's that awareness. Bring yourself back on track and back to the here and now. And I like to explain it as, the should have, could have, or would have path. All that does is elicit feelings of shame and regret. And neither one of those are going to move you forward. They are neither one are productive. And then you've got the what if path, which leads you straight into can be debilitating anxiety. So being in the moment is right where you need to be. So find a mantra, an affirmation that brings you back to center. It may be a post-it note on your computer or in your planner, so there are daily reminders of your chosen mantra or affirmation to keep you in that present. So my heart is with all of you this holiday season. I hope and pray you find ways to fill your tank, to find joy in the moments, to surround yourself with love. If you are going to be without your children this holiday season, please make sure you are connected to your local chapter of One Mom's Battle, because we know this is such an isolating journey, and even people in our lives who may be good, kind, well-meaning people, they don't always understand what this is like, because this is not a normal divorce or a normal co-parenting situation. It is very much its own category. So it is isolating, but it doesn't have to be. Please reach out and make sure that you are connected to your local chapter. We have them in all 50 states. We also have a DC. We have them in different countries. And if you go to ombchapters.com, you can read all about where they are and what you need to do to join your local chapter. All right, take care, everyone, and happy holidays.